let's introduce you first to a collector that we recently stumbled on. For centuries, the long arm of the law has protected and served citizens across the USA. From the time we were kids hearing tales of sheriffs in the Wild West chasing bad guys, there's been a fascination with these early lawmen and the characters they hunted down. And this has led some folks, you guessed it, to collect remembrances of the courage and heroism of police chiefs, sheriffs, and police officers of days gone by. Former police chief and historian Jim Casey found his passion for collecting police memorabilia 20 years ago through his profession.
When I was in law enforcement, I like to think back what it was like to be a lawman back before the turn of the century. Thinking about these people on horseback and lack of communications, but then also it's kind of intriguing, you know, that they knew everybody in town. It's a lot different than it would be for a police officer now who's mostly in a cage in a car, driving around. He doesn't know hardly anybody really in a big city. So there's a lot of history to it and contrast that I like to ponder.
From the time he graduated from the police academy, he was fascinated with the history and memorabilia from his fellow police officers. His home is filled with all things related to law and order. Batons, badges, and caps, all symbols of service. Photos of famous police officers such as Buck Garrett, brass whistles, handcuffs from the 1800s, and billy clubs. Anything that a police officer would have used in the early days of duty, Jim has. The major focus of his collection is badges, each one embossed with the officer's job title and county name. Jim's intrigued by the history behind each one, and he proudly displays his California badge collection on this map. Each one attached and linked by a string to its corresponding county. And it doesn't stop there. From Santa Barbara to New York City, Jim has badges from many other corners and counties in the country. The badges in Jim's collection run from very simple to very elaborate. And this, I don't think you can get more simple than this.
No, that's a badge that's been cut out of the bottom of a tin can. It's probably a temporary badge until his badge he'd ordered comes in.
And he even held it on with a safety pin on the back. What's that worth?
Probably about $50.
Is it? Moving up a little, this is a nickel badge?
Nickel.
And this is valuable because...
Well, this badge is valuable because we know who wore it, Wild Bill. We have a picture of him wearing it. And that's
Which Wild Bill?
Wild Bill Wilmazine.
Mm-hmm. And this is the badge he wore?
Yes, it is.
And you know that for sure because you see it in the picture?
Yes.
Okay. Does that increase the value of this?
Yes, it does. It probably doubles or triples it.
So this is worth about how much?
The badge by itself, $200. With the picture, maybe $800 as a set.
It's great to know the history.
Yes.
And this is an example of another picture and badge that go together?
Yeah, these I actually got from the family. And in the picture, the man's wearing his patrolman's badge. And then he got promoted to corporal, and we have the corporal badge with it. It's the same badge number. And that badge is nice because it's sterling and it's also hand engraved.
Worth about?
Oh, probably about $1,500.
Is it?
Yeah.
Now, moving up in value to this, which is called a presentation badge?
Yes, this badge was actually presented to the sheriff of San Bernardino County, Sheriff Shea. It's got a nice presentation on the back that shows who it was presented to and when.
Is that what makes it a presentation badge, the engraving on the back?
Yes,
okay.
That's why we call it that.
Mm-hmm.
And the badge is also valuable because it has a different gem that was adorned in each point and has French enamel.
Gold, jewels, presentation engraving. Makes it worth about how much?
About $6,000.
Wow. Then there's Jim's prized possession, this solid gold presentation badge worn by Buck Garrett, a sheriff who served 5 terms in Ardmore, Oklahoma from 1880 to 1930. According to Jim, he was known as a likable guy and one of the more fair lawmen of his time. A suspension badge with his name on it is rare and is sold in the past for thousands of dollars. But this isn't the only Garrett item Jim has. There's a reverse painted sign from Garrett's office, a check written to a Miss Halloway for $200, and a presentation gun with his name Buck inscribed on it. This photo of Garrett in his office shows a typical day for sheriffs in the late 1800s. Signing papers and patrolling the town on horseback were all routine tasks. But whomever the lawman and wherever the place, the public knew they were there to enforce the law by some of the items they carried. Jim's collection includes some old law enforcement tools of the trade. For instance, this is an early version of a flashlight. This was called the Dietz Police Lantern, and any cop who walked the beat from, the 1700s up until the late 1800s would have something like this. It actually is an oil-burning lantern, and it has a magnifying lens on the front. This is a lock from the 1920s. This was used to lock up confiscated evidence. During the Prohibition years, they probably put this on some liquor that they gathered. It says police on the front, so any locksmith would know not to pick this lock because it's police evidence. Today, these are worth about $300 to collectors. You've heard of wanted posters. Well, this is a wanted postcard. It was sent by the deputy constable of San Diego County to a law enforcement person in Placer County, California, asking him to help him find this guy, John Doherty. And it gives you a description of John and some personality traits. And it also says that he wore a black fedora hat, wore blue overalls, gator shoes, a light pink shirt, and a black frock coat. You think he'd be pretty easy to find, don't you? This was sent in 1896. And these postcards are worth about $20 to collectors today. Whether it be batons or badges, collectors of police memorabilia want symbols from the lawmen or reminders of the outlaws they captured. In fact, Jim recently wrote a travel guide for police museums around the globe and created a website to help other collectors see the treasures within police memorabilia.
Every week I get emails from people saying, my great-great-grandfather was a sheriff. Would you have any idea of where his badge is, or do you have any information about him? And so if I have books, and I do have a lot of research material, I'll try and thumb through it and find something that I can send them back because I know it's going to mean a lot to them. And it's fun for me because then I get to learn about another old lawman.